Welcome to Health 2021. To all healthcare and frontline workers, and all those involved in the vaccine development and rollout, thank you. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for your hard work and dedication. To all the 6,000 plus attendees, 300 plus amazing speakers, and 500 plus invaluable sponsors, thank you for being here with us. In our fourth year, health continues to represent every part of the health ecosystem. We're here to continue creating health's future together. The monumental COVID-19 vaccine rollout has made it possible for us to gather together again. However, it is important to remember the over 4.5 million lives lost, including 1 in 500 Americans, and countless lives affected. As of September 13th, 54.5% of eligible Americans are fully vaccinated. Although more than 5.8 billion doses have been administered globally, we still have a long way to go. Over half of unvaccinated Americans live in low-income households, and in low-income countries, only 1.1% of people have received at least one dose. Incredibly, 1 in 5 Americans believe that the microchip is inside the vaccine. We all need to come together to promote science over politics and stand firmly against health misinformation. From 2019 to 2020, we experienced the largest decline in U.S. life expectancy since World War II, disproportionately impacting people of color. Long-haul COVID develops in 70% of hospitalized patients. Though people of color were nearly 5 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID, the majority of this research neglects these communities. The cost of care in the U.S. is a ballooning problem. Annually, $210 billion is spent on unnecessary medical costs. Medical bills account for 62.1% of all bankruptcies. Roughly 68% of low-income community clinics do not have the adequate resources to serve all individuals who walk through their doors. In 2020, poverty had the biggest single-year jump since the government began tracking 60 years ago. Unpaid caregivers increased to nearly 20% of all U.S. adults, and 1/3 of employees have left a job to manage an unmet caregiving need. This increase can be attributed to a growing number of aging baby boomers requiring care. In the past decade, the 65 and older population grew by 34%. Globally, over 1.1 million children have lost a primary caregiver to COVID-19, and 63% of our younger generations suffer from significant symptoms of anxiety or depression. Overdose deaths in the U.S. jumped nearly 30% from 2019 to 2020, with the highest increase among youth. Over 60% of healthcare workers say the pandemic has severely impacted their mental health. In February 2021 alone, mental health conditions accounted for 54.6% of telehealth visits. More and more digital solutions are closing gaps in mental health care. Of all patients, 80% are more likely to participate in a clinical trial if virtual options are available. Decentralized trials are opening the door for greater diversity and inclusion in drug development. Roughly 3.2 million cancer deaths were averted between 1991 and 2018 due to reductions in smoking, earlier detection, and new therapies. Researchers found that 89% of machine learning-generated cancer treatments were considered clinically acceptable. And 73% of all healthcare organizations increased their AI/ML funding in 2020. This year, the brain signals of a man unable to speak were harnessed, and his intended words were successfully translated onto a computer screen. The first ever transient pacemaker harmlessly dissolved in a body after it was no longer needed. And in June, groundbreaking in-human CRISPR trials released data indicating that the treatment worked. The levels of a fatal disease-causing protein plummeted in participants. Using ultrasound and RNA-loaded nanoparticles, researchers are delivering brain tumor therapies directly across the blood-brain barrier. Technology is radically improving how we detect and treat disease. This year, autonomous vehicles have joined drones in a prescription delivery pilot to increase access. The U.S. online pharmacy market is expected to grow at about 19% between 2020 and 2026. And 43% of patients say they check a pharmacy comparison app for prescription savings. Health app downloads increased by 25% during the pandemic, giving consumers the ability to engage with their health more than ever before. For example, more people are surviving widowmaker heart attacks because of alerts on their wearable devices. Shipments of smart health monitoring devices are expected to jump 23% over last year. And digital health companies raised a record $21.3 billion through the third quarter of 2021, surpassing 2020's record-breaking year. This decade has the opportunity to become the most transformative, revolutionary time in health's history, and you are at the helm of it. You are the changemakers, the transformers, the innovators. You are challenging the status quo. You are the future of health. Dear future, we're coming for you.